Karlene Gill is the CEO and founder of The Female Fix, an organization developed to inspire, motivate, and empower women all around the world. A stylist consultant, life coach, wife, and a mother. She graduated from the Robbins-Madanes Institute as a strategic interventionist, where she acquired her certification as a life coach. Karlene also completed her studies in personal styling and image consulting with the Image Resource Center of New York. She is also currently working on becoming a certified Neuro Linguistic Practitioner at the Priority Academy. Karlene Gill from Ireland. Hi, Karlene.
Hi, Nazra. How are you?
I'm great. Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's our pleasure. So welcome to Inspirations. And you have some really great little nuggets here for us today. So let's just first start off, because everyone's heard your bio. Tell us a little bit more about yourself that's not in your bio. You know, why do you do what it is that you do for a living?
Okay. So I am a sales professional. I came from a sales environment. I've been part of a sales environment and in sales management for close to 11 years. And I made the decision, or took the leap, to get into life coaching earlier on this year. And it has been simply rewarding. I'm also the mother of a son, of a boy. And also, I am an image consultant. I would have studied in New York City. So I recently had shelved that for a while. And recently, I took it back on again. So I have a very full plate for you.
Yeah, so you definitely do. So we see a lot of, your inspiration centered around, the female fix on your Instagram page. What does that ultimately mean to you, and how did that sort of come about?
So, female fix. I think for me, it's all about fulfillment. And we'll talk a lot about that today, because that is my language.
Yeah.
But I feel like in these times, especially when we factor in the pandemic and everything, I feel like we tend to overlook like real issues. And what I observed within my community, at least last year in Ireland, we would have lost 8 women in a period of 10 weeks. And these were all suicide cases, obviously for different reasons. You'd find financial problems, social media bullying, different reasons. But my thing is, I feel like women today, we don't have the support that we need. One particular scenario was where this lady, she was, encountering financial issues. And so she was like feeling like she was just, blocked in. And, instead of reaching out for help, she probably thought, single mom, she probably thought that the authorities would have taken her kid away. So she saw suicide as the only way out. And that's so unfortunate. Oh. So with that in mind, I kind of thought, look, let me just start a movement, something that will empower women, support women. While I love men and I know that men would need the exact same support, sure. I feel who better for me to embrace than a woman, because I am a woman and I've been through it, who feels it knows it kind of concept. So this in mind, I came about Female Fix, and I thought, I'm a life coach. These are ways that I want to help people. Why not call it Female Fix? So I've recently started that movement. It's just a little bit over a month. It is a baby, and it is also my baby. And yeah, this is basically what happened. And also, I would have lost a friend of mine this year in March to suicide as well. So, wow. it's the reason why, it's just a lot. So I kind of sat back and I thought to myself, what are you doing about this? Even as a friend, I feel like I could have been there for her a bit more. So this is my way of giving back and trying to help.
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful story, because I really feel like there's so many people that just sort of kind of suffer in silence, unnecessarily so too. And so, and I know there's just so many, weird stigmas out there of, surrounding like therapy and getting coached. I noticed that life coaching really doesn't have as strong of a stigma. So why not you go in a little bit to just kind of explain to people, a little bit of the similarities and some of the differences between the two, so that people can kind of get a broader scope of it.
Sure. So therapy, I'll start with therapy because coaching is my thing, so I'll get a little bit more into coaching. But therapy is more of a medical, clinical kind of model. So basically, you'd have a patient going to see a therapist in order that they can be diagnosed with some sort of mental issue because of mental trauma, something that might have happened in their past. And so with a therapist, you'd find there is a client doctor relationship. It's more of someone advising based on what they know. They go into your head and they advise, and also they would prescribe something that will help you. With coaching, it's different. Similar in some ways, but very different, because what a coach would seek to do is to empower you. So they're taking the tools that you already have and showing you how to utilize it. They're taking you through that process. So it's not more so of I am advising you situation. It's more so I know what I want you to do and I know what can get you the best results, and I'll take your hand and walk you through that process. And mainly for coaches, our thing is helping people find fulfillment and find their purpose. So the process is basically where we suggest stuff, and it's equal work really, because we have homework that we go home, we would go and do as well. We do a lot of researching, but we do a lot of listening as well. And once we compile what we need to, in that process, we suggest, processes that will work. And it involves where the client would tend to take things and they have to action them. So it's quite different in that way. And there is no real prescription per se. As I said, it's taking the tools that you already have, tapping into it and really building on it. So, getting you polished inside and outside as well.
Okay. I love that. I think that's a really important distinction to make, because sometimes people have done therapy, but they still need some kind of guidance.
Absolutely.
And so I think that when you can use all of these different healing modalities, I think it's very, very powerful for sure.
And you know what, Nazra, why there is not so much a stigma around life coaching is because, coaching, we know basketballers have coaches. We know most soccer teams, we know most, sporting teams, they would have coaches. So it's kind of like understood a coach is someone that will work with you to develop on some kind of skill. Therapy and a therapist is more someone who would say, okay, something's not right there. So people kind of associate that with, you're mental, you're unstable. And so it's so much easier saying that I have a life coach, because now I've consulted with someone who's going to help me enhance my life, as compared to, consulting with someone who is going to tell me, listen, something's not right. This is what you need to do, and in that way, to show that you have some kind of mental instability somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a tough pill for people to swallow a little bit, but but I think that I think it's so important that we reach out to different people who can help us in our lives. And that's what I love about what you do.
Because I'll tell you as well, you'd find there are scenarios where I would have had one or two of my clients that, approached me, and based on what they've outlined, I would say, listen, this is more of a therapist kind of scenario, because it's such a thin line in between. A lot of people can tend to, mix these up. And life coaches are not there to prescribe stuff for people. We work with you and we get you from point A to point B. But you have a lot to do with it. It's not us telling you go out and get something, or you need to do this, or, and with life coaches, there could be a term. We can say, okay, we'll work on a 3-month period. When you have a therapist consultation, you just don't know. It's based on when that person or the patient gets better. Sometimes that may want a year. So that's also another big difference.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it really helps for people who are just kind of hearing it. Maybe they think it's the same, or they don't think it's the same. And it just really kind of helps people kind of mentally figure out what it is that they need, for their journey. So I think that's a really important point too. So my next question, that's a great lead in for my next question, because really the center of this episode is really talking about from, full-time to fulfillment, and you know, everyone has the responsibility of working a full-time job, and they still at the same time they have these passions that they want to do, or they don't really know what their passions are. And I personally believe that everyone has a passion, but some people are just less tuned into what it is. So what kind of guidance do you offer, you know, in life coaching to your clients for people sort of just like kind of caught on this hamster wheel of 9 to 5 and, you know, really wanting to get off of that, you know, that hamster wheel and move forward? What do you say to people, one, who know what their passion is and don't pursue it, and then also later on we'll go into, you know, people who don't really feel like they know what their passion is, but just feel like they have to keep this job, you know, for their livelihood?
Yes, absolutely. And that happens a lot, especially in today's world. So as life coaches, we work with a model called where it's human needs. So each of us would tend to have each of the 5 human needs. Some would have some stronger than the other. And these human needs would go from variety, uncertainty, love, connection, you know, contribution, growth. So they're all centered around that. Right. And what we do is, you know, we do like a discovery. So initially, if it is I have to speak with someone, I kind of get a feel of their personality, where their needs are, where their fears are. And one of the things that I always try to ask someone, you know, and anybody that I come in contact with in terms of for coaching, what gets you out of bed? What keeps you driven? What gets you pumped? What creates that buzz? Many times people, what creates the buzz is not exactly what they're doing. And you're right. It's more of a hamster wheel routine where people may do something because this is what pays the bills, or this is what I can get. I'm not happy with it because I feel like, for me, I was stuck in that for a while, for probably a few months or so, before I decided, look, let me just take stock and, you know, act. And I ask people, you know, what gets you pumped? There must be something. And you were very right with what you said. Each and every one of us, we may not realize it, we do have a passion. Some people are not very motivated, or they just lack that guidance. And this is where life coaching comes into play. You know, you guide people based on your knowledge, and use your expertise to guide them along, where they too can literally, you're not telling them this is your passion. They sit down and they realize, actually, that is my passion. So this is what I do. And I always guide it along. I always tell people, what do you love? Absolutely. It does not have to be what you're doing. Obviously, it doesn't have to be your profession. It doesn't have to be your discipline. And it's so weird that many people that I speak with, their passion is not what they're doing. So they're living unfulfilled, more or less. It's just a case of getting the bills paid, getting up, doing whatever. And they spend very little time even focusing on what they really love. So that is there, and it's undeveloped. It's untouched. And they're just going with the routine. So, you know, to answer that question, I always ask questions around, you know, I know what I want to get out of them. So I use my questioning to steer that. And I get them to a place where they understand, oh my gosh, this is what I actually love. This is what gets me excited. When I, you know, even talking with people, and you see when you speak with them, their face, when they talk about something, they, you know, as life coaches, we have to read, you know, actions and facial movements. And you look to someone and they're talking to you, and, you know, they may mention something, and their eyes may light up, they may crack a smile, and you tell yourself, okay, I think we have it there, and you go from there. So
yeah, definitely. Because I know so many people, it's so sad, they kind of look forward to retirement. And when you love what you do, you're not looking forward to not doing it at some point. And I think that, I mean, even universally, I would say, like, in America, but it seems like more of like a universal, because you're on the other side of the world there, like a little bit in Ireland. And, you know, there's just like this belief that, well, I have to do this. I have to do this. And, you know, maybe they'll look forward to vacations, but it's almost like they're looking forward to retreating from their lives.
That's it. You definitely hit the nail there. And this is why we work hard. And we said, well, I can't wait till I get to retirement. I lost an uncle 2 years before he was due to retire, and he was waiting. He had a massive heart attack, but he couldn't wait to retire because he wanted to do a lovely home, but he could have done it while he was working. And my thing is, that's just do what you want to do now. Once you know what you want, if you can, we may not have the resources to act on things that we want, but working towards it is a start in the right direction, and not waiting till one particular, because no one knows what happens. We are not promised tomorrow. And part of, my role as a life coach is to get people to act now. Ensure that they can act now, understand when identify the resources, if there are the resources, and get them to act on it. If they are lacking resources, get them to start working towards building on that. And that can definitely inevitably let people understand, okay, I need, why wait to find or to do something that really will make me happy? Why wait 10 years down the road, or 40 years down the road, or 30 years down the road, when I can literally get into to do it now? So yeah,
exactly. And I've heard so many people in conversation just saying, well, I want to do this, but I can't make a living doing that. And I had this crazy epiphany the other day. I'm trying to remember now who it was I was having a conversation with, but we were talking about the home edit, which, they just go into celebrities' homes and all kinds of people's homes and just organization. And it's $1 million business, and they have this mindset though that, oh, well, yeah, I could do that, but that's not gonna, work out. So that leads us kind of more into, kind of like mindset. So what do you, how are ways that you kind of help people, one, discover what their mindset is, and then two, how do you help sort of guide and coach them, into, a better, a more growth mindset?
Okay. So again, what we would do is, I particularly would tend to use, so, we all learn ways of doing things, but we, tailor it to suit our personalities and what we feel will work best based on the client. There's no map or no blueprint that I use for all my clients. It's about getting to know them, and then I work with what I have based on my knowledge to work, to get them to get the best results, to have them get the best results. Mindset is so big. It is so huge. It is so important. It is key. And, when you talk with people, and, that's why life coaches have to be people friendly and people lovers, because it may include sitting and talking with people and you doing less of the chat. You're getting them to open up. I have had situations where people have had issues opening up initially. And obviously some people like to feel that level of comfort and trust before they can really open up, but it takes a process. So you have to know when to back down. You have to know when to, ease up, or how to phrase your words, how to put things across. It's so key. But on the topic of mindset, when you get to learn your client, you get to understand exactly what drives them. And when I say drive them in terms of human needs, there are some people that prefer to just stay safe. And these are people, their human needs, their strength is more, they're looking for comfort. So someone who's looking for comfort, you can't ask them to be risky. So someone who is more into variety and uncertainty would be a person who, okay, I'll gamble, I'll do that. And they're not as much of, they're not as fussy in terms of, but someone who is looking for comfort, they are very cautious. They want to ensure that, whatever you're suggesting for me, it's something that I can do. So again, it brings us back to when you're talking with people, you understand where they are based on the question, and you understand where they're thinking. If it is that you identify immediately, this is something to do with low morale, they're not motivated, you start taking that route. So it's not a quick fix. It's where if it is someone, comes to me and they say to me, this is how I feel, but they're coming on one accord. They're telling me that this is an issue, but I identify with something else. As the life coach, I have to take them through every process, because that is when the results will be lasting. Telling someone, okay, get up, do your affirmations, remind yourself how lovely you are. And that is not their main issue. Whatever the result is will not be lasting. So, you know, it's about, and in every situation, in all cases, something that is standard, you empower people. You let them know that you have what it takes within you. And you have to pull that out, and you have to channel that, and you have to make that work for you to find or to be fulfilled and to find your purpose. So it's always showing them when they come in, you have all the tools. I see you have all the tools. Let me help you get them out, get them shining, get them working for you, ultimately getting you living your best life, getting you to the point where you're living your best life.
Yes, definitely. I love that. And I notice because I'm kind of a former like Tony Robbins junkie, I noticed like a lot of the things that
similarities,
the phrasing. And one thing that he really talks about a lot, in addition to what you mentioned for your coaching, is NLP. Can you tell people what that is and how, I mean, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I just kind of want to, you know, help people understand a little bit what NLP is and how they can use it in their own lives and how you use it in your coaching sessions.
Okay. So NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming, right? It's a collection of models. It's techniques that you use and strategies, obviously, to model, you know, to get the best out of situations, you know, and it helps us as life coaches understand processes and behaviors, you know, languages, you know, the way that someone would think, and in order that they, you know, we can design something or suggest something that they will get maximum results. And you know, it enables us as well to bring about positive change. So by saying that, and I kind of, as I said, touched on it a bit, you have to get lasting results. You don't want to be coaching someone and you're working with them for 3 months and you're seeing progress and it works because this is what they're working with you. Obviously, as a life coach, there are times you can't mark out a time. You can't say if it's going to be a 3 month or a 6 month period. Based on progress, you can outline that. But you don't want, after that period ends, that you still have the same problem. It's not good for anyone. It's not good for you. It's not good for your clients. You want, your ultimate goal is to have lasting results. And this is where getting into the head, neuro-linguistic comes into play, because you understand certain things. I mean, what it teaches you. So most therapists, if not all therapists, would have covered NLP. Not all coaches would have covered NLP. It's not considered mandatory. For me, I feel it's key, because there are lots of people that would come and sit with you in order and ask you, listen, this is what I want. I'm stuck in my job. I need you to guide me. I need to find a career that works for me. And they may lay these things out, but then in their eyes, it says something else. You know what I mean? And that is where NLP comes into play. The way someone looks at you, the way they position themselves, the way they speak, the way they may turn their head, you can read a lot from that. And I always feel like, as a coach, because if you have that little extra, it helps. Because you're not only reading things based on what people are telling you. Now, mind you, as a coach, you may pick up some additional things, and you may not let the client know, okay, so you told me you wanted career coaching, but I can see that this is what you really want. No, it's just you taking notes and you're in sponge mode, because you know you will get to a time and place where you will have to utilize what you know that they don't know that you know. So this is where NLP comes into play. It really, it allows us coaches to empower, and also it enables us to teach, you know, to show people how things can work, and not only just show them, like they can actually put it into play and say, wow, this makes sense. I actually tried this and it works. You know, so it's coming from a place where there's a deeper side of things, and it's not just what you're putting on the surface. So that's what NLP is in a nutshell.
Okay, so let's throw out kind of an example for people who might still like need a little bit more insight into how it's showing up in their lives. Like if I say, okay, well, it's time to go into the hellhole, like talking about work. I had a friend who, like, that was for years what she said. Okay, time to go to the hellhole. All right, I'll talk to you later. What's something, if someone said that to you, you heard that, like what would be something that you would say? Like, how would you use NLP to kind of like help them reframe that sort of
thinking? Well, I would say, I don't think in that particular scenario, NLP may help a bit, but it's more so, asking the question. So why do you consider that a hellhole? What resembles, or what do you feel, what particular part? And you try to get into it, get them to the point where they actually, bring everything down. Like, okay, it's a hell. Why is it a hell? Or when I get in, people are just, I'm just not happy. And why are you not happy? I'm not happy because my supervisor comes, would always pick up. And why are they picking on you? You try to get to the bottom of it. And many times when you get to the bottom, you're able now to reframe things. So someone who would probably come and say, this is a hellhole. Oh my God, I'm doing a job I absolutely hate. It's just paying my bills. It's so routine. I'm literally getting up in mornings and I'm literally having to create a mindset each day to get in there to really cope. And you say to them, okay, so what do you really love doing? You don't love doing that. You're getting paid for it, but what do you really love? And they start telling me something, oh, well, I really like to do something else, whatever. And you say to them, why aren't you? What are you doing about that? Well, I haven't done a course, or I haven't done anything. So what you start doing is you reframe. You tell them, okay, so why not look at work, look at the job that you're doing instead of a hellhole. Start looking at that as the source that will fuel your side business or fuel your passion. I want to become an artist. I want to become a fashion designer. Why not use that job primarily to give you the funds to build on that? Take a course, do it on the weekends, allow that, and start seeing that job not just as the job or the supervisor, but more so that this is the key to my happiness, or the key to helping me build my empire, and every time, make sure when you get that money, you put it in there. That motivation in itself, but at that stage, you're able to say, okay, I wouldn't be here for the next, I'm going to draw out a plan. And I love asking my clients to draw out plans. I love it. You say, okay, so this is my plan. My plan is to be here in 5 years' time. So when you get up every day, you tick the box. Okay, this is 1 day closer to my 5-year time. This is 1 year. And it's motivation, because many times, it is so common that we do jobs that we're just not loving and we don't feel fulfilled. And unfortunately, for many of us, we depart and we don't get the opportunity to really do these things. So do it now. And that is what I push. That is my point home to many of my clients. Get on it now. If you hate something, what are you doing to change it? Don't just say it's a hellhole. What are you doing? Are you throwing out other applications? Are you, if there's a role that you have in mind that is not in that organization, have you checked the qualifications? Is it something that you match up to? Is it something that you're lacking that you can go back and, do a course in, to bring yourself up to speed? Always have an action point. And that's my thing. Absolutely. I think that's so key, because I feel like it's just so easy for people to get just trapped in the mundane day-to-day and realize you can actually develop an exit strategy. If you don't want to be there, then find a way to develop, a strategy, like you were saying with your clients, that you have, them like map out. So I think that's really helpful for people to realize that they do have control. They've just kind of relinquished it. They've just relinquished control. And Nazra, what is so important by having them map all these things? It's you're not telling them to do it. They're doing it themselves. So it's doable. They're not going to map out something that won't work for them. They're going to map something out that they feel this is doable. This is practical. This is something that I can absolutely do. So you're guiding them. Again, this is where the guidance comes into play. You're guiding them. This is what you need to do. And then we look at that map, and then we figure, okay, so this is where you are. So how are you going to get there? You're not just going to draw the map and bring to me, and I'm like, okay, so that's it. I'm like, okay, so here's where we are on this map. How are we getting to there? What are you going to do? I ask for timelines. I ask people to do timelines, and this is so key, as you said. It's so key, because could you imagine being stuck in a role and you don't know what your next step is? That is misery. You just don't know. You're stuck in something and you don't know when you're going to come out. You don't have an escape plan, and you're just hoping one day that something pops out of nowhere, which chances are it won't. It won't. Right, exactly. I think that's so huge. I want to transition now a little bit into, it's still touching on everything that we've touched on, but I know that a lot of, women and people of color kind of have these sort of feeling like
feelings of being stuck because, oh, well, I can't do this because I'm a woman, or they won't take me seriously because I'm this ethnicity or that ethnicity, and, you know, it's predominantly white and, you know, male dominated. So last week, this won't air until December, but last week, you know, something really huge happened in our world, like in our country particularly. And we just, you know, nominated our very first, you know, female and Black and South Asian vice president. And I think that I would really love for people to take something really powerful away from that and not just see Kamala as the exception, but as like a new standard, basically, of what is new. What is your kind of like take on that as a life coach? How would you use what's happened in this country as an example to empower, you know, other young women or older women, like women of all ages and people of color who felt very limited in what they were capable in achieving?
Yeah, that is so important. I feel like I was over the moon with excitement when I heard about the news. You could swear that I was American, to be very honest with you. I was so happy. I was prancing around the house. The morning I woke up in particular, I just felt something great was going to happen. Now, mind you, the night of the election, I barely slept. I was up constantly checking. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, it was crazy. And I had to remind myself, like, what is going on? Like, your elections have gone. Like, we had elections in Trinidad earlier on in the year, and we had elections in Ireland just before the pandemic, before March, that kind of thing. So I'm like, why do you care so much? But obviously I do care. Yeah. And I was so elated, like there are no words. And I'll tell you why. Look, you know, while I love Kamala and I would talk hours and hours about her, I want to draw from Joe. Let's use Joe. You know, Kamala is amazing. She has just broke the mold. She is the first ever. And I want to add, she has a bit of Caribbean blood. Go Caribbean. Her dad was Jamaican. And my thing is, oh my gosh, she is the Lord of Lords when it comes to women right now. You know, she speaks the language of every woman. Because she's so mixed, she's tied to one ethnicity, people can tend to relate a bit more. So she is the poster child right now for women's strength, and just what women can do. So I love her to pieces. Joe, let's look at Joe. Joe's life as a whole. You know, he was faced with so many tragedies. Joe had a stutter as a child to the point where he was bullied in school. You have, you know, he went on from that and he played American football at his prep school. And he made impressive touchdowns, the guy with the stutter. He moved on, you know, he lost his wife and his daughter in an accident. You know, his son survived that accident, but he would later on lose another son. He pushed on. That is strength, isn't it? That is strength. You know, he turned around and he ran for president twice before this year, and with no success. In that moment, he decided to follow the path of becoming the running mate for the 44th president and the most amazing man in the world, Barack Obama. And that is purpose. He stopped for a second and said, you know what? This man stands for something. I like him. I like what he stands for. He's what I envision. He might be a rival, but he's what we want. That's purpose, because he knew. And then finally, you have him at age 77. This is his third attempt. Many people would have been like, I did this once, I did this twice, it's time for me to throw in the towel. He took a break and he supported Barack and he was there with him. And I feel that was purpose. That is him knowing this is what I want to make. It's not the route that I planned on taking, but it's what I need to take.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a lot for people to really think on, because we just can't give up. We just can't, waste our life just kind of accepting these limited, thinking beliefs. Because I think a lot of times when we're making excuses, we actually think they're facts. And I've definitely done that a lot in my life.
Yeah. You know, Nazra, and this is where affirmations is so important. This is why I am an advocate, and with all of my clients, I have them doing affirmations, because like I put up something on my page recently, be careful what we say to ourselves, because we are listening.
Ooh.
So when you say things, it not only stays and it gets into your everybody, your soul, it's deep, it's deeply bedded. Why not use something positive to put in there? Why say the negative? Why, you know, and we're all humans, you know, like I am a life coach, and I have days that I feel like, oh my God, this is such a shit day. I'm trying to do this, it's not working out. And recently I've just had like a lot of stuff going on, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I just probably, you know, and you have to immediately tell yourself, what am I doing? Because you're doing more harm than good. And you stop and you say, look, stop. Instead of saying, I don't know if you've ever seen Secrets.
Yes.
Secret.
Yes.
It is such a fact. You get up in the morning, something goes bad. Then you start to say, oh my God, geez, something else goes off. Oh my God, this is going to be the worst day. You know what happens? It turns out to be the worst day.
It does.
You can quickly turn around a situation. Something happens, it starts your day. Okay, that's not the be all. I am going to make this day a great day. That is not going to ruin my day. That is not going to set me off on a downward spiral. It won't. Yes. And you start doing this, and you want to remind yourself, you know what, I'm a warrior. I can do this. I'm a survivor. I'm strong. I am a winner. And you believe these things. Because when faced with fear, and we keep saying, I can't do this now, it doesn't make sense, you know, you start believing that. And that's your like you literally, from the time the thought gets into your head to move forward, that blocks it. So, you know, it's about getting the negativity out and doing things. And, you know, some of my clients, I suggest meditation is a huge help for me. Yes. You know, I do it from time to time. It is so, so huge. Just shutting everything out and searching yourself and going in there and just relaxing, because you need to do that. Like I literally have my Fitbit, and I always set it on times to do my mindfulness. So it may come at random. It's an alarm, and it keeps buzzing on my wrist. Mindfulness. And I'll do a 4-minute breathing exercise, and I'll just shut out the world for that period. It's so important to do that. It is so, so helpful. And it's such a healing process. It's such a rejuvenation. It's like, you know, in that moment of taking everything on your shoulders and feeling like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. Just let's deal with it. Life has, you would always encounter issues. It's how you deal with it. There is no one person that can say, oh my God, my life is problem free. I have no issues. They are lying, right? Yeah. But it's how you take that and you turn it around. Is this a problem that I really need to deal with, or is this a problem that is self-inflicted? And there's the difference. A lot of people put things on themselves and carry burdens. And when you really think about it, is this something that I really need to be carrying? Is this something that I should really be worried about? And that is when we start classifying it as self-inflicted. And there are the safe ones that you'd find, okay, so there's an issue. That's life troubles, you know, people paying bills, you know, doing these are things that we have to deal with. Right. So that's not self-inflicted. When it becomes self-inflicted is when you don't pay your bills and then you have issues and you could afford to do it. You know, so that it's classifying, and I like that. And Tony uses this a lot. Put your troubles in a bag, tie it up, throw it out. How would your life feel without that baggage? And people are like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel light already. And that's because you took that and realized that's not something that I really should be dealing with. No. Exactly. And, you know, so yeah, that's just, you know, it's something that we all deal with from time to time, Nazra. It's the best of us would have had those moments, but it's how you pick yourself up, you dust off, and you brush and move on. It's really that defines the success level.
It is. That is everything. I think that is absolutely everything. This has been very motivating. I feel like really like supercharged and like inspired, and it's just like I'm just carrying like this positive energy like throughout my day, just like in preparing for my day. You know, little things, you know, happen, and you know, oh, the microphone isn't working, or this or that, and just realizing, take a breath, it's fine, just you know, just keep moving. Like, I'm not going to let that get the better of me. And it's not about everything going perfect. It's just about not letting these little tiny annoyances dominate, you know, your state. And state is everything.
You're on the right track. That's the attitude.
Yeah.
You know, the mic not working, that's fine. We ended up hearing each other well. You know, there are little things that pop up, but you have to push on. And I'm hearing that from you. I love it. I feel like you have it there, and it's just to put it into play. You know, it's just making sure that there are days things trip and you stop, you breathe, listen. No, this is not the end of the world for me, you know, and move
Definitely
on. And you'd soon realize, have you ever heard the saying that 10 years down the road, I laugh at today? You think today it's a nightmare, something happens to you, it's a nightmare. And then down the road, you're like, why was I so upset? And in that moment, you thought it was the worst. Think about it that way. When you encounter something, you make a huge mountain out of a molehill. And then you realize after, wow, that was easy.
Right.
Do it in the moment. Don't wait till 10 years down the road or 10 days down the road and say that really wasn't a big deal. In the moment, stop and analyze and assess. Is this really worth me stressing? No, it's not. I still have life. I still can do the other things, the things that I love. That's what matters.
Exactly. That's everything in a nutshell. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Before I ask my last question, where can everyone find you online?
So at the moment, I am operating off of Female Fix. I have my email. So I have, I started a little bit of a movement on Facebook, but I'm not very active on it. But the thing about it is I have a circle of clients and I have to work on building on that. So for now, I have Female Fix. It's on IG, it's Instagram, it's, you know, it's mainly developed or created for that space for women to feel like they can, you know, feel motivated, empowered, you know, feel that inspiration. And I've been getting loads of messages via that. So for now, I am working on my website. So once I do that, I will update the page so people will have direct access to me.
Perfect. Wonderful. So for my final question, what keeps you inspired?
What keeps me inspired? I would say my mom, my husband, my son, my stepdaughter. They keep me pushing. They keep me remembering, listen, there's no time for you to fail here. We are looking on. Especially my mom. My mom believes in me, like, you know, and to me, I always feel like I don't want to disappoint her because she's, you know, she's done such a great job with me. And I always feel like, oh my God, she doesn't want anything materially. She just wants me to be successful. So when I feel like throwing in the towel, I think about it. My son, my husband, my stepdaughter, they all keep me pushing. But the fact that I get the opportunity through life coaching to use my skill to further enhance the world by empowering women and helping them live their best life. Now that, Nazra, is what keeps me inspired.
I love it. I love it. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you again so much. And we'll definitely have to have you back on the show at some point.
Would love to.